Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Lion's Gate 8/8 of 2025. As some of you probably know, the Lion's Gate is an incredibly powerful time energetically for everything, but especially for manifestation. And I'm going to be talking about it just for a moment or two, and I know Mother Mary's going to talk about it too. But it's really important, and really through all these years that I've been doing this, anyone who's on these calls already understands about the power of intention and manifestation. And I just want to say it's just so important to really kind of tune in to your heart of hearts and to what is your soul's desire to create, rather than being distracted by the shiny, crazy stuff, out here. And for me, it's been just such a wonderful journey to move to no, I didn't move to North Carolina, I moved to South Carolina, and to just discover a whole different ethos, a whole different way of being, where it's a lot slower pace than other places I've lived, and people actually stop and talk to each other on the street. It's like, what? But it's a good place for me right now to be. And so my intention for myself and my manifestation is to just really appreciate a different way of living here and to just find my way in it, and stay happy and joyous and healthy. That's my wish. So Mother Mary has been talking to all of us for a number of years, and I've been blessed to be a channel for her for 27 years now. And yet it's similar, but it's always kind of new information because it's based on what's happening right now, and sometimes what's really difficult to deal with in the world right now, which is, a lot of change, a lot of challenge, and a lot of uncertainty. So without further ado, let me bring in Mother Mary and have her greet you and hopefully inspire you with some new ideas. Well, first of all, thank you all for coming on this very momentous night. One of the suggestions I'm going to make is a word that some of you may be familiar with and some of you may not. And that word is bardo, Bardo. And I don't mean the actress. And if you look that up, you're going to find some different interpretations of it. So I'm just going to give you the one that I'm talking about. Bardo was thought to be the space between one life and the next. And so it was often attributed to what happened when the body died in a certain time frame, and then what happened next. And so where did they go in between? That was one interpretation. But what I want to suggest to you, just as one way of looking at the world right now, is the world is engulfed in a strange and wonderful bardo. So it's an opportunity for rebirth. It's an opportunity for a new life. It's an opportunity for a new vision. And yet, many, many people who've been so sort of buffeted about by everything that's going on don't, it's like they don't even think about vision. They're just trying to make it through the week and pay their bills and, make sure that they don't get arrested or deported or whatever. And so, meanwhile, all the other countries are also going through many different things. I mean, to think that there would be any animosity between Canada and the US a year ago would have been unthinkable. And yet now, here we are. So what is this really about? So a bardo, and again, I'm using my definition. So those of you that use Merriam-Webster or Wikipedia, please give me a little poetic license here. It just really means that the way that all of you, all the countries, all of the people have been living, what you have counted on, how you have thought it will unfold, what the government might do for you and your family or not do, what the scions of industry would do or not do for you, what would be the upcoming industries, how would your children be educated, what sorts of healthcare would there be. And I'm not trying to drown you in this, but I want you to really just take a second and realize how many things are changing and how little say you personally have in any of it. So it can leave you feeling a little lost, sometimes bereft, sometimes angry, sometimes sad, sometimes just like, what's going on? So a bardo happens many times throughout a civilization's growing pains, so to speak, when what had been sort of counted on or true began to not work for a certain group in some way. And then there was a revolution or a war, or someone, decided to take over a different country, et cetera, et cetera. But what you have now isn't one country going through a bardo. What you have is a global bardo. Wow. So I'm giving you that context to help you understand the advice I'm going to suggest in just a moment. Because if you can't control everything out there, now it becomes essential to go in here and create a harmony, a synthesis, a sense of balance and creativity within yourself. Because without that, it'll be like, Dorothy in the Wizard of Oz, being taken up by the tornado. And we don't want that for any of you. So what is the purpose of a bardo, and why does that happen? And again, I don't want to go into history and all the different things that have happened over time. But one way to look at it is to understand evolution means change. Some people embrace change and create change and want to be the change makers and come up with all sorts of innovations and ideas and inventions, and that's what you've seen. So just to give you one simple thought, when America moved from being very agrarian to not being agrarian, it was like an identity crisis for many, many people, because it had always been a certain way, and now it was no longer that way. And so if you can't adjust to that, if you're, and I'll use a couple of other examples, if you're a miner and they're no longer doing coal mines, but that's how you've lived and your grandfathers and fathers before you lived, you could be pretty angry. And you also would feel a bit lost in what to do. So bardos happen when big changes happen. Now we're in a global bardo. And it's being caused by the fact that humanity, and again, of course, this is a huge generalization, but humanity has lost its connection to the actual natural resources that are here to sustain life: water, air, soil, trees, animals, etc. So when that starts to happen, just like when the soldiers came and killed all the buffalo just for the sport of it. So now all the natives didn't have that connection anymore with the buffalo, and then they moved them to to various places that had no food, and to put them on reservations and this and that. So again, there's so much history, but I don't want to bore you with that. I just want to set the tone that when things like this are changing so rapidly, if you try to respond to each and every new thing on the news, you will go mad. You will just go mad. So that's what's happening out there, number one. So what do you do? And now this is just so precious and so important. I really hope you take it to heart, and I hope it works for you. You must find something in nature that feels a kinship with you. Now, that could be a beautiful tree. That could be a stream. That could be a lake. That could be a river or the ocean. It could be anything that carries a palpable life force. Now, some of you love stones, and I love stones and all that, but sometimes I just want you to understand, I want you to be able to look at a river, let's say, and see the life in it, see the sparkle, see the energy in it. If you've chosen a river and you're sitting there, or you're out on a boat, or you're enjoying it, So the first part is to find that, whatever that is for you. The second part is to create an exchange of energy. In nature, there is still the template of glorious vitality. Well, especially since I'm asking you to find a place that feels really good, right? And so when you are having an exchange of energy, what I mean by that, you are, let's say, admiring the river and you're thanking the river and you're, I don't know, saying Ho'oponopono, or you're just really doing a blessing, a water blessing, or again, you are sending your appreciation and your love to, and again, in this case, the river. But the second part of this little exercise is now I want you to receive the blessing from the river. Because so many of you are such wonderful, good stewards of the earth. And so all of you have already gone out and done good things, to the various parts of the earth. But many of you don't realize in this time of 888 especially, it's all about having an exchange. You're giving out and you're receiving back. There is so much potency in nature, and that's why people go to places like Sedona and Machu Picchu and the pyramids and all of that. I mean, it's incredible. But you can find your own personal little place of beauty nearby wherever you're each living, because it's going to create for you a sense of being fed the pure manna of this earth. The manna is in the creation of the tree, the river, the flowers, etc., etc. It's already there. And so as you're exchanging and blessing and saying thank you, you are receiving back the essence of God's creations right into your cellular body right now when you're doing it. It's an extraordinary experience. And that's why so many of the mystics, they go sit under a tree like, Buddha or whatever, or they go and fast on the mountain, but they're still surrounded by trees and beauty. Why do they do that? Because there is an exchange. Now, they may be doing it differently than what I'm suggesting right now. But what I want is for each of you to feel fed every day. Now, you might say, well, Mother Mary, I can't always go to my tree because I'm working or whatever. If you can't go every day to your tree, have a picture of your tree in your house on your phone and spend a few minutes with your tree or your river or, again, whatever it is. Because when we start to befriend nature in this way, we begin to, as I said, feel fed by that very exchange that's going on. But we are also no longer as susceptible to the chaotic frequencies of everybody not knowing what's going on. So you are calming your nervous system. You are engendering a healthier metabolism in those moments. And it's very simple. It's just a question of taking some time to be with that place in nature that calls to you. Many people are worried about, what will this government do or that government do? No one knows right now. No one knows. Because this is the next part. It's a big lesson tonight, but I really wanted to be giving you as much help as I can right now so that as you move into this rest of this year, you will have the resources to really sort of be above the fray, be above the fray. So once you start doing this, right? So you found your beautiful place and you're now having a good time talking to your tree or being by your river or whatever it is, and having this exchange. What starts to happen, and you will love this, it's a channeling that will now come from the places in nature that you have chosen. All of you know me and archangels and Metatron and all the gang, and we talk to you and it's wonderful and we are with you and we're not going anywhere. But the divas of nature also have incredible wisdom and power about how to be sustainable on the earth, because that's where they are. We're not quite here with you anymore, although we like this. So what starts to happen as you visit your favorite tree or whatever, you'll get a feeling, an image, a vision, a word, a color, something. Just make a note of it. Just make a note of it. Because again, nature doesn't always talk in English language or Spanish or French or something, but it gives you that hit, that intuition. Because the next part, once you start to have this going on, is you will be given a vision of what your soul is meant to do next. And so many of you ask me about your purpose. They ask me, what should I be doing? Right now, the answers for the most part are we don't know. We don't know, because there are so many people at choice and the information is so cloudy that people are really not making good decisions. So we're just backing away from that for a bit. But what we say to you, and when I say we, I mean all of us, is that your communication with nature is going to help create the new patterns and the new possibilities that you can put into your soul agreement and now carry forth. It might feel a little odd, but I think all of you have had at least a few memories of being out in nature and feeling touched by nature, right? Nod your head if you've had that, just that feeling. So just as so many of you have listened to your guides, your higher self, and been so beautifully diligent about doing your very best to be a good human being and a good light worker, and we thank you so much for that. So now it's about realizing if we're going to change the world, there has to be earth keepers that aren't just ecologically sensitive, planting trees and all that's wonderful, but earth keepers that actually hear the earth, hear the earth. And some of your early tribal people did, some of your poets and visionaries did. And you have every capability to do that. Also, if you are feeling a little ungrounded, and you put your hands or arms on a tree, you hug a tree, you sit by a tree or whatever, and we'll come back to trees. We got rivers and trees, but I like to mix my metaphors. So when you do that, your body calms down. There is a transmission. You might think you're giving something to the tree, and you are, but the tree is also giving something to you. And that is a template of harmonized energy. So even those trees that aren't perfectly straight with perfect branches, like everyone wants their Christmas tree to look a certain way. Maybe they've got this and they've got this and they've got that. Doesn't matter. They've survived by creating and responding to whatever, maybe lightning hit them or there was a drought or whatever. But they have a harmonic, a template that is pristine, regardless of, as I said, maybe a branch is broken or something. And when you put your hand on it with love, that harmonized energy harmonizes your energy. So there's going to be a tremendous influx of information for you over time. Might not happen the first day, but it might, in which you think, some of you might move. Many of you have moved a lot, so maybe not. But some of you might move. Some of you might write. Some of you might decide to start a meditation group. Some of you might decide to have a retreat out in nature somewhere and invite people to come and join you. Some of you may just decide that you'll call a few friends and say, let's walk in the park. And as we do, let's bless the trees. So it's going to come in small and sporadic ways in some cases. But what it is, it's like Gaia, Pachamama, as some of you call her, has this extraordinary understanding of what needs to happen next. And it's not about politics and healthcare and economics, but it is truly about sustainability, because the energies that are currently happening are so destructive and haphazard. They are not sustainable over the long haul for your earth. Because you can look at the fact that, isn't it interesting, where the earthquakes have occurred recently? New York, Russia. Interesting. And so what does that have to do with anything? Well, the earth and all of the people and animals and everything else on the earth have a harmonic exchange of energy. And when there's too much dissonance, the earth has to respond with similar dissonance. So all the calming things that you do, loving a tree, sitting by the river, all of these things are like a homeopathic remedy for all of that anger and vitriol and blame of this person or that group, etc., etc. Because here's the real story. So come back to Bardo for just a moment. What is your dream for this earth? What is your dream for this earth? And so over this next few months, especially when you're with your tree or your river or whatever you're choosing, let yourself dream again of what this earth could be. Because all of you that are listening to me, you came in with your soul promise. I'm going to go. I'm going to do my very best. And you are. But now we're at this place of needing some new visions, needing some new ideas, and certainly needing better communication among people who might have differing ideas. So this is a precious time, because what's next is really up to all of you. And when I say all of you, I mean the millions of light workers all over the world. Because we're here tonight, but all over the world, there are people in meditations and doing prayers and doing everything that they know how to do. And different advice comes from different channels. And I always say, do what resonates with you, that feels right from your higher self and all of that. But in order to have a new world, we need to feel like we have this beautiful connection with nature, as well as a beautiful connection with our higher self and angels and God in whatever way is right for you. Because now humanity, if you can just take a second and think about this, if humanity can create from a place of such grounded wisdom that is also connected to the higher selves of everyone, it has to be a planet of prosperity and beauty and justice. It has to be the garden again. Now, some of you might see little pieces of that in your lifetime. Some of you just glimmers. But it's the work now. It's the work now to do. And along the way, if you look back over the other bardos, as I'm suggesting, look at people like, just from history, the Wright brothers, right? Oh my goodness, they thought they were crazy, right? Flying a plane, what are you talking about, The first automobiles. Oh, no, horses. So the world has changed a great deal in the last few hundred years. So why couldn't it change again? It can. It can. But there have to be the dreamers and the doers, the dreamers who say, wow, 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 and then putting it into the next steps that are possible. Because then you can all have lives in which there is beauty and prosperity and love. The caveat, I guess, is to understand the difference between wanting the world to work for you and wanting the world to work as much as possible for everyone. And I think, again, that there's this wonderful give and take and compromise that has to be done, you know. But nonetheless, if you begin to think about how could we have enough food for everyone? Well, the reality is there is enough food for everyone. We're just not distributing it. So what's that about, right? And so as we shift from the old bardo, where the currency of most value at this moment in time has been money and power that goes with that money, to a currency that is all about vitality, sustainability, co-creation, community, love, and well-being. Lots of changes have to happen, but they can, and they will. They will, because all of you came with such beautiful, precious hearts, and all of you already have given your lives to bringing stewardship to this beautiful, beautiful planet. So it's not to alarm you. It's just, again, to try to set a context so you can see, how do I want to make decisions in these coming days? And again, I'll just come back to what I was saying. If you're trying to make decisions in reaction to what is going on, that's a losing game. If you can get centered and grounded and connected and listen to the earth and then make your choices accordingly, you will be on the path of highest light for you. And there's no greater joy than being on the path of highest light for you. Because when you're on the path of highest light for you, you don't want to harm anyone, right? You don't want to harm anyone. You want to just fulfill your own joyous soul's expression and encourage the greatest soul expression from those around you. So it's going to be an interesting year. But again, what I want you to realize is, you, by focusing on your frequency and your energy and your dream and your choices, and bringing in this additional strain of mana from the earth, and staying connected to, of course, to your friends and family, not only will you weather the storm, other people will want to know how you rigged your ship to be so strong and to make it through the difficult times. So while we're all here, and before I turn off the recording, many of you that have seen my other recordings may or may not know, we always do a prayer and a blessing after the recording when the rest of the group stays on. But tonight, I want to demonstrate something for you and say our prayer now, and we might do another one later. So just take a moment and just imagine the most beautiful place on earth that you have ever seen or traveled to. Just take a moment. See it. See the colors. Smell the fragrance if there are flowers. Hear the sounds if there is rushing water. Feel the energy of the birds if there are birds and trees. And now, as if you were there right now, feel your feet on the ground or in the water, wherever you happen to be. Feel your feet right there, right now. And then take a moment and sort of go up through your body and connect your crown chakra and your soul star chakra, and invite your higher self right here, right now to move into this experience where we are envisioning a place that we love, a place of glorious beauty. And then from your heart, send out your blessing, each of you that are listening, to that place, to every element in that place, to the sun, to the stars, to the water and the air, the soil, the animals, the life that is there. Oh, and now feel the response. Feel the response of all that beauty that you've just appreciated, now appreciating you. Feel that stream like a figure eight. You're sending it to them, they're sending it to you. And if it feels right to you, make a promise to be a steward of that kind of beauty, of this beautiful earth, everywhere you go. And so it is. So I just want to say thank you to everyone who's here right now and listening, and everyone who listens later on. It is a time of great promise, and it's a time of great possibility. So it's time to sort of sustain your courage with everything that you know, because we are with you and the earth is with you. And it is time to be uh, bold and creative and loving and caring. May it be so for each of you. Namaste.